Hello, my dear companions. I'm looking into finishing up the manual for teachers by the end of the month, so I thought I'd record it, which would start with the introduction. Manual for teachers, introduction, back of the book. Doesn't matter which edition of the course you're in, it's at the back. And we're going to look at the introduction. I like the introduction because it talks about the teacher-student relationship, and I have come to understand these last few years from studying this book that there's no difference between teacher and student. It's the same thing. As the teacher is teaching, they're learning, and as the student is learning, they're teaching. So we're all teaching and we're all learning, which is pretty awesome. When I first started recording these videos, I believed that I was doing it to teach. I wanted to become a teacher of God. But as this has progressed, I'm understanding that as I teach, I'm learning. So when I watch these videos back, which I do after I've recorded, not to edit them or anything, just to receive and learn. And I began to realize that I thought I was teaching, but the whole time I'm learning. So, introduction to the manual for teachers. The role of teaching and learning is actually reversed in the thinking of the world. The reversal is characteristic. It seems as if the teacher and the learner are separated in the world. The teacher giving something to the learner rather than to himself. Further, the act of teaching is regarded as a special activity in which one engages only a relatively small proportion of one's time. Let me read that part again. Further, the act of teaching is regarded as a special activity in which one engages only a relatively small proportion of one's time. My ego really does not want me to get this part. I'm doing it again. Alright, I'm going back. It seems as if the teacher and the learner are separated in the world. The teacher giving something to the learner rather than to himself. Further, the act of teaching is regarded as a special activity in which one engages only a relatively small proportion of one's time. The course, on the other hand, emphasizes that to teach is to learn. So that teacher and learner are the same. It also emphasizes that teaching is a constant process. It goes on every moment of the day and continues into sleeping thoughts as well. To teach is to demonstrate. There are only two thought systems. Two. And you demonstrate that you believe one or the other is true all the time. What are those two thought systems? Oh, the fearful mind and the loving mind. The sane mind, the insane mind. The guilty mind, the guiltless mind. From Tamsin's, can't even say my own name. From Tamsin's demonstration, others learned. and so do you. From your demonstration, others learn, and so do you. The question is not whether you will teach, for in that there is no choice. The purpose of the course might be said to provide you with a means of choosing what you want to teach on the basis of what you want to learn. You cannot give to someone else, but only to yourself, and this you learn through teaching. Teaching is but a call to witnesses to attest to what you believe. It is a method of conversion. This is not done by words alone. Any situation must be to you a chance to teach others what you are and what they are to you. No more than that. But also never less. The curriculum you set up is therefore determined exclusively by what you think you are and what you believe the relationship of others is to you. In the formal teaching situation, these questions may be totally unrelated to what you think you are teaching. Yet it is impossible not to use the content of any situation on behalf of what you really teach, and therefore really learn. To this, the verbal content of your teaching is quite irrelevant. It may coincide with it, or it may not. It is the teaching underlying what you say. It is the teaching underlying what you say that teaches you. Teaching but reinforces what you believe about yourself. Its fundamental purpose is to diminish self-doubt. This does not mean that the self you are trying to protect is real. This does not mean that the self you are trying to protect is real. But it does mean that the self you think is real is what you teach. This is inevitable. There is no escape from it. How could it be otherwise? Everyone who follows the world's curriculum, and everyone here does follow it until he changes his mind, teaches solely to convince himself that he is what he is not. So hang on. How could it be otherwise? Everyone who follows the world's curriculum, and everyone here does follow it until she changes her mind, teaches solely to convince herself that she is what she is not. Herein is the purpose of the world. What else then would its curriculum be? Into this hopeless and closed learning situation which teaches nothing but despair and death, God sends his teachers. Yummy. God sends his teachers, and as they teach his lessons of joy and hope, their learning finally becomes complete. So to teach, brothers and sisters, is to learn at all times. Last paragraph. Except for God's teachers, there would be little hope of salvation. For the world of sin would seem forever real. For the world of mistakes and chaos and drama and fear and guilt and anger and shame and worthlessness, all those ego-driven thoughts would seem forever real. Except for God's teachers, there would be little hope of salvation. For the world of sin would seem forever real. The self-deceiving must deceive. the self-deceiving will deceive, for they must teach deception. And what else is hell? This is a manual for the teachers of God. They are not perfect, or they would not be here. Yet it is their mission to become perfect here, and so they teach perfection over and over in many, many ways until they have learned it, until Tamsin has learned it. And then they are seen no more, although their thoughts remain a source of strength and truth forever. Who are they? How are they chosen? What do they do? How can they work out their own salvation and the salvation of the world? This manual attempts to answer these questions. So let's go through the yummy titles of Manual for Teachers. There's quite a lot, so I'm just going to mention a few of what we're going to go through. So after that introduction, we're looking at who are God's teachers, who are their pupils, what are the levels of teaching. This one's interesting, I love this one. What are the characteristics of God's teachers? And it lists them. Trust, and then a section with trust called the development of trust. And then we have honesty, tolerance, gentleness, joy, defenselessness, generosity, patience, faithfulness, open-mindedness. What is the peace of God? How is peace possible in this world? Is reincarnation so? What is death? What is resurrection? So some interesting sections to cover. Manual for Teachers. We just did the introduction. Blessings, brothers and sisters. See you on the next one.